I've got everything ready to give it a go today because the weather's not too bad. Nice blue sky. Everything's wet, of course, but let's have a go. I've already placed the new auto choke in there, so I'm going to fit the new coil, and then in here the new CDI unit, and then fingers crossed, hope for the best. Yesterday I took the old coil off, and it's actually in quite a bad state. Got rust on those pegs there. If that focuses, particularly that one, and the same on those there, which plug into the back of the coil. So I've actually given them a really good spray with deoxit contact cleaner, cleaned them as best I can, ready to put the new coil on. First I'm going to put the new coil back together. This is the bracket that I took off yesterday. I've given it a very quick clean up and spray with direct to metal paint, just because I do that with every bracket I take off. It's not had a proper curing time, but it is dry, very, very dry, so it's just going to have to go on there. No time to waste. Right, let's put it together. That's done. The bracket's on there, screwed in. There's some copper slip on that screw there, just to keep it from seizing up. That's ready to go back in the bike. The connectors are on there. They're a bit wobbly, and I'm not very happy about that. I'm going to leave that for the minute, but I need to know how I can tighten them up. I don't want to break this plastic by squeezing it, but at the same time I'm not convinced that's the best connection. Anyway, it's going to do for testing, so we go with that for now. Just had to do a little bit of mucking about. This is the spark plug cap from the new spark plug, or the new coil, and that hole in there is for when you unscrew the top of the spark plug, which I really didn't want to do. So I just transferred my old cap. This one's in really good condition. I've got a few of these across, and I'm just going to put that back onto the coil lead, so that I can just keep the spark plugs as they are. I really didn't want to have to try and take these caps off. In fact, I had an old spark plug I tried it on, it didn't even want to come off, so I'm not even sure if you can do that anymore. But this is the proper fit for that now. So let's do that. Right, the ECU or CDI or whatever you want to call it, that's in place now. I'm just going to hang it there for a minute, because if everything works I might just try the old one on again and just see if it was the coil that was actually the problem. And if that's the case, I've got a spare, so not to worry. If nothing works, well, I don't know, we'll move on to the next problem, I guess. You can all share in my joy or disappointment, because I'm going to do it live. First I'm going to check for a spark, and I'm really sorry, but I can't turn the machine over and hold the spark plug at the same time, so I'm just going to try it. Well, I couldn't see a spark, but I put the plug cap back on anyway. And what we got? Ready for this? Absolutely nothing. So I've just double checked this again, and it is actually sparking. It's just the spark's quite small and it's quite difficult to see. So there is a spark, so that is going. So what are we back to? I guess timing, fuel, don't really know. Keep on looking. And guess what? It's still sparking with that unit on as well, so I've got myself a spare ECU unit. bugger, that's a real pain in the arse. Right, I've been out for a coffee, still suffering a bit from my initial disappointment that nothing worked, but hey, let's keep moving forward. I'm going to start by removing the carburetor again and just cleaning out the float bowl and the jets again, just to be 100% sure that that isn't the problem. I know the fuel delivery is going through the pipes, but then of course there is still a possibility it's being blocked inside the carburetor. So let's start with that. Got the carburetor off again, so we're going to clean the bowl, particularly the jets. I'm watching Robot's video. I'm going to use some very fine copper wire to actually go through the jets, poke it through them. Copper being softer than the brass, and hopefully not damaging. Interesting, when I was taking this off and I tweaked the throttle, you could see the actual the squirt of starter jet coming out of there, so actually vapour. So that's a good sign in one respect, maybe not in another. So let's have a look anyway. I'm not going to bother with the float again, the slide again, because I did that last time, and that's all kind of clear, so it's mainly the underside we're going to be worrying about. Right, just to prove that fuel is definitely getting to the carburetor. Don't know if you can see that, all that fuel in this tray that's come out of it. So at least it's getting that far, so hopefully it's just jets. Right, okay, I've cleaned all the jets out, and there's the float. According to the book, that should sit about level when it's, so that's there. Slide, that's all clean. And this one, the float bowl, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's just run out. But when I pressed that, it was pushing fluids through, so that's good. Time to put it all back together again. Listen to this, guys. Well, listen to that. So I've just finished cleaning the carburetor again. So that's the second time in this session. And she's running. I don't know if she's going to run and when I go for a ride break down again or not. We're going to find out. Maybe not this minute though. I'm just happy that she's running. I'm going to let it run for a minute. Give it a few minutes to warm up, see what the idle drops down to, and then adjust the idle if I need to. And then I'm not going to get time today, but tomorrow hopefully go out for a little run around the block a few times and make sure that I can get home. Fingers crossed. Right, I'm just back from a 15-20 minute ride round the estate, so I didn't have too far to push her if it broke down again, but everything went fine. So touch wood, we may have fixed it. She's quite warm, so she definitely went much further than last time when it started breaking down. Yeah, it ran really smooth, which I'm glad of. Just letting her cool down now, and I'm just checking for any leaks or anything like that, because obviously I've had all the fuel pipes off. I've had the coolant pipes that attach to the carburetor off, although they were clamped up. Let's have a look. You can hear it clicking, warming, cooling down a bit. I mean, everything looks good. So, what have we learned from this? Good question. Well, we know what it wasn't. It definitely wasn't the ECU or CDI, whatever you want to call it, because I've just been running with the original one on there, so that's all fine. It could well have been a combination of things. It definitely could have been the coil, because I'll take a photo and put that in of the ends of the coil. They really were quite bad where the connectors connect up, so it could have been that. I don't think it's the vacuum hoses, but I've replaced them and that's good, so I'm pleased with that anyway. Not sure about the auto choke. That obviously wouldn't have stopped it running, but may have made it more difficult to start. Who knows? What else have we done? That's it really. Yeah, everything else is as it was. So it's probably cost me in the region of 70 quid altogether. But I have a spare ECU unit, and this one on here must be like 21 years old, I guess, because that's how old the bike is. The vacuum hoses and fuel pipes, that's all good anyway, they're better off replaced. Fuel filter, I had that anyway, so that's good. Yeah, well, here's hoping that it stays like this. And then next, we could talk about my new mirrors, but that's for another day. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.